local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to episode 153 of the Run Eat Drink podcast. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana. And this podcast now has 100% less confetti than the previous podcast episode did. And 100% more chair dancing.
I'm sorry.
I didn't tell her that I was clicking the button to go live. So there we go.
I'm so sorry.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It's going to be one of those kinds of episodes for sure. Tonight we are recording as a live stream.
Cheers.
So for those of you joining us online, welcome to the video. For those of you listening on your favorite podcatcher, thank you for once again subscribing and downloading to the Run Eat Drink podcast.
Yes, it's because of your support that we've been doing this for 4 years.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
Almost 5.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I can count, and so this is episode proper 153.
Yes,
of the Running Drink podcast,
with a lot of what we call quick bites strewn in there from time to time as well.
Yeah. So you might even see a quick bite in the feed of the celebratory videos from our live stream on Sunday.
Yes.
You might see that happening tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. So because I really think, even if people couldn't tune in live, you can watch it back on YouTube. I think that's really worthwhile to celebrate the team and to honor those that we run for in terms of the Donna virtual events.
Yes, we've been talking about the Donna virtual for the last couple of weeks. We have been talking a lot about our race team for the Donna.
Mm-hmm.
And we kicked off the event yesterday with a live stream.
Yes.
And boy, was that quite the party here
in
the Run Eat Drink podcast studios. There is still confetti to be found. I thought that we got it all, but there's actually confetti still. So yeah, it's still there. We're with 99% less confetti.
99%, 98%. So we haven't found all
there's
of
been
it.
A lot of vacuuming. We'll just put it that way.
I'm not crying. You're crying. Yes. I think the videos, we just want to celebrate the team, first of all, for coming on board.
Yeah. We had over 32 people register for the running team.
Support the Donna Foundation. And I just also want everybody to be able to see the tribute of who we're running for, to honor, to remember. Exactly. It is such a worthwhile cause, an amazing foundation. And I just want everybody to know how much they're appreciated and what we ran for and what I will get my miles in for once I'm cleared to do it.
Yes. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, you're going to get cleared for at least your 5K.
Walking, at least for walking. Like right now, long times on my feet are not advised, are ill-advised. So yeah, the dogs didn't get the confetti.
They weren't interested in it, but we did find some confetti in the cat box this morning. Don't know how it got there.
Yeah, I discovered that as I was cleaning. So I just don't know. I guess it's kind of like when you go to the beach and you have sand all over in your bag and in your shoes and places you didn't even know. So
well, it's like Schrodinger's confetti. It's both there and not there all at the same time.
You're gonna get all sciencey and everything.
That's the limit of my sciencey.
Yeah.
Tonight, I think.
So, but at any rate, Well, I love it because it's a beautiful reminder of everything and everybody in the chat who is joining us. Darlene was doing some miles today and
Mhm.
I was getting the episode proper ready, so I didn't have a chance to share hers to our story or share them out to the various groups and things like that.
You
But
got to get on that.
I got to go back and I got to do some makeup work
Yes, you have homework.
because I just want everybody to know how much they're appreciated and how much it means.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and it was very hard not to run. So hard.
Yes, the Department of FOMO is in full force here at the Running Drink Podcast Studios.
It's me.
They're going to be getting their own office space here in the towers.
It's me. Yeah. It's
So,
it's me. So on the running portion of our show today, as we're talking about the preview of our show, it will be Dana's miles that we are recapping as well as the team. So if you're here in the chat, shout out if you've done your miles, you know. We've been seeing it and catching it all along social media if you've tagged us
yes.
or you've done hashtags. I've been trying to madly search for all of that and make sure that we don't miss a
Yeah, we're
thing.
trying not to miss
In the
anybody.
words of Aerosmith,
Don't want to
don't
miss a
want to
thing.
miss a thing.
No, we want to celebrate the entire team and everything that you guys are doing,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing that we had 32 people join the team to do that. It was just incredible. So
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about that. We're
Yeah.
also going to be talking about a new location for folks if you're coming down to the Southwest Florida area, perhaps for
Yes.
your own runcation
Or
or other.
spring break, perhaps, because that is some winter breaks, some spring breaks are going to begin to start to happen as we get into March and April.
Yes.
So I think it's a perfect time to talk about places that feel like runcation-y or vacation-y. So
And this week
yeah.
we are venturing off of the mainland of Florida onto a local barrier island
Mhm.
to bring you some local food and beverage
Mhm.
or some local food from a
Yes.
place in Matlacha, Florida
Yes.
called Blue Dog Bar and Grill.
Mhm.
And then we are going to be doing an interview or play.
Yeah.
We're going to attempt to play for
We're
you
gonna
an
do it
interview.
right
We're going to
this
do it right this
time.
time.
People,
We think we've got the technical issue worked out. It's me.
it wasn't
I'm
it we're gonna
the
do it.
technical issue.
We're gonna do it right.
So we're
Totally.
going to play that interview for you, and this is a beverage that is specifically made for custom made for brunching.
For brunching, yes. So a lot of people, their post-run beverage of choice, if you've done the Donna virtual events, a lot of people will have, you know, sports drinks to replenish their electrolytes. A lot of people
That is not what this is.
will have beer. A lot of people will have mimosas because typically you would be at the Donna Marathon Weekend if you were running in Jacksonville, like we're all going to run thinking positive in 2022. You would be brunching at maybe Post Tavern or at Southern Grounds,
Or
looking at
Southern
your
Grove.
shirt,
I'm
looking
actually
at your shirt.
repping. I'm repping
Yeah.
today.
So we thought we would, like last week, we paid homage to a beer you might have after. But this week, we're going to go kind of savory beverage and talk about Bloody Marys.
We are indeed.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this one. I enjoyed this interview and I loved the beverage itself. It was fantastic.
Yeah. So I see so many people in the chat that loved the tribute and loved the thanking of the team members. So
And
when we drop that in the feed as far as quick bites go, yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
going to be great.
you
That
can
way you'll have it.
I was gonna say you can also still watch our kickoff video.
True.
That is still in our Facebook feed,
Yeah.
and I believe it's in our YouTube and
Mhm.
on Twitter.
As long as
I don't know if
well, as long
Periscope
as
keeps the videos up that long.
as long as YouTube doesn't mute us because the kickoff included a countdown that had music
Right.
from the Donna last year in 2020.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, that is
So
not our fault.
we
We were recording out on a public roadway, and the
yeah.
DJ was playing some music that the DJ had license for.
Yeah.
hopefully YouTube will be kind to us.
I hope so.
And if nothing, we don't make any money off the video anyway.
If not,
By all means, YouTube gods, drop an ad on the bottom third. We don't care.
we don't care. But in the
Just don't mute
meantime,
us.
I'm just going to put everything in our podcast feed so everybody has access to it.
Yeah.
So
Good call.
there you go.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about my Booby Trap Challenge, and that's the one medal I don't actually have.
That's true. We have the 5K
here.
and we have the half right here.
Yeah, the Booby Trap Challenge is in
don't.
there on the table. But as
Yeah.
you can see, we are sporting
Do
two
you
of
want
the
it?
three. Would you mind grabbing it?
Yeah. One moment, please.
Amy's going to grab it while I'm kind of setting everything up. I opted to go ahead and do my mileages. I wanted to do mine ahead of the cutoff, which was yesterday at midnight. So I went ahead and got my registration, of course, and then I decided to get out there and knock it out. And I did back-to-back running days, which is something that I would say if you're going to do a running challenge, this is something that you should actually incorporate into your training. Very often, if we're doing, like, say, the training for the Donna, or we're doing one of the Disney challenge weekends, then, and Amy just found more confetti. That's good. So here we are.
Here, it's going to take me a minute.
Booby
to
Trap Challenge.
Oh my gosh.
So you should, if you're going to train for and do a challenge race of some kind, you really ought to prepare by doing back-to-back running days as part of your training regimen.
I think that Ryan Runs Disney is in the chat, and I think that he would support your assertion fully.
I should hope so.
As a person who has completed the dopey on numerous occasions.
He's done a lot of challenges.
Which is a 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full at the Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend. So
yeah, I didn't get nearly that crazy, but I decided to do my 5K on Saturday and my half on Sunday. So I'll tell you a little bit about my 5K. My 5K, I decided to take it very easy. I did it as an evening run. I did it as just a simple increasing cadence of a 5-second run and 55-second walk.
Yes.
In the first mile. Second mile, I did
your 5K. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a 10-second run, 50-second walk, and then a 15-second run.
You were cooking. I mean, I feel like maybe like when you showed me your average pace for the 5K, I was like, oh, I'm cooking. But I see everybody's paces and I'm like, oh, I want that. I want that.
It really wasn't that fast.
That.
My average pace ended up being, well, actually I shared it. I was also using this as an opportunity to try out the apps.
Well,
so
that's
I was
true.
actually using the Active Experience app. That was the official race tracking app of the Donna Marathon Weekend.
Yeah.
And this was for me, for my 5K, it was a 14-minute and 20-second per mile pace overall. Again, I wasn't really trying to set any speed records. I wanted to be very conservative.
I want that. That's awesome.
For, the first day running a challenge.
Yeah.
So I did that in the evening, and we were having, we're not participating in winter right now here in Florida.
No.
So we've opted out of that.
And on the day that you ran, I think it was warmer than it was even today.
It may have been.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason that we that I ran so late in the day, actually.
Well, yeah,
because it was kind of warm during the day, and I wanted to let the sun get down, and I wanted to cool off some. So, and Josh is asking in the chat room, can we add to the Spotify playlist? We actually created a playlist for runners. We shared it on Spotify and we shared it on iTunes.
Yes. Apple Music.
Yeah. And I believe, is it still open for runners to edit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I sent it, and I'll go back and I'll make sure that it's in the show notes for this week's episode.
Perfect.
As well.
Yeah. Amy got a bunch of suggestions from people in one of her coffee breaks that she does on Instagram in the morning, and started creating playlists.
Yeah.
So I had something to listen to, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then, so I knocked out that 5K. That really wasn't too bad. I felt good. I got a pretty good night's sleep. I got up in the morning, and I had initially planned to get up at 4 and be out the door by 5. And what ended up happening was I got up at 5 and was out the door by about 6:15 or so. And so I started a little bit later on the half marathon day. and I decided to do an out and back. My out and back consisted of going from our neighborhood really through a waterfront neighborhood here in Cape Coral. And once I got out of that neighborhood, I went to a paved multi use running path. And I finished I went from basically mile five
Mm.
or mile six, I'm sorry, mile five out to mile six and a half and then turned around and came back.
Yeah, and I mean, it has sidewalks, it has bike paths. I think it was a really smart way
It's a good
to
path.
do it.
Now, what was funny was Jessica, one of our patrons. She messaged me while I was on the run. She's like, "How you doing?" Because she's local, and she said, I'm loading up to go out to my
Yeah.
father's house,
Yeah, I
and
think she's in the chat, yeah.
it was 96% humidity,
Mhm.
even though it was only like 73 degrees.
Mhm.
And that was the same thing I was getting on my phone for where I was currently
That
at.
humidity you have to be so careful with because you have to hydrate so well beforehand,
Well, and for this race, because I was doing an out and back, I decided to go ahead and carry hydration with me.
and then you have to have it with you if you're not gonna be, like, repeating a loop by our house like we've done in the past, things
Exactly.
like that, yeah.
So since I didn't
Mhm.
have, I wasn't going to be able to come back by the house. That's exactly what I did.
Right.
So I have a Camelback Lobo hydration pack, and that is a low profile hydration pack for runners and cyclists.
Mhm.
I like it. It does a great job. It keeps the water spread out across your back, so it's a
Yeah.
little flatter than it
Mhm.
is thick, and it gives you some storage for your wallet and keys and stuff like that.
And
So
some nutrition,
and some
if you
well,
wanna
okay. So we're gonna get into all the mistakes I made, and
you're
that's
gonna
gonna
make a
be
list of
I
things
I've
not to do.
I've got several things that
Do
that I did.
do as I say,
Yes.
but
Look,
not as I
you
do,
know, I sometimes
right?
your purpose in life is just to be a lesson to others.
That's true.
And sometimes your purpose in running is just to be a lesson to others.
Yeah,
So,
tell you.
number one, the longest run I had done in the last 3 weeks leading up to this was only a 10K.
Only a 10K and not back-to-back
And
days.
number
Oh,
2,
I'm so sorry.
no back-to-back days. So that was a mistake.
Yeah.
We're Galloway runners. We generally philosophically believe in the fact that you should run the distance or maybe a little bit beyond the distance to push your wall out.
In the format that you're gonna run it.
I didn't do that. So
Yeah.
the that was the second mistake. The third mistake that I made was I had not done any training carrying my hydration.
Oh, yes,
You forget
because that adds how much weight do you think that adds?
water.
Yours in particular.
Well, water weighs 8 pounds per gallon.
Yeah.
Okay, there's some more science for you. 8 pounds per
Jen,
gallon.
you've entered the chat at the perfect time. Just okay.
So it adds that weight, and you have to get accustomed to carrying it, and you change your cadence, you change your posture and everything when you've got that weight on. So
You do.
you've got to
It's true.
train. If you're going to run with hydration, train with your hydration.
Mhm.
The other thing was normally if I'm doing a half marathon, I'll carry some sport beans or something, just have a little hit of sugar. Like I don't eat like handfuls of them. Like a pack or two is
No.
enough to last me. Just a couple of beans every couple of miles.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that. I kind of took off and decided I'm just going to go and do this on an empty stomach. So I ran on an empty stomach. Number one. Number two, I get to about mile 10.
Did that bother you running on an empty stomach?
Not for the first 10
Some
miles.
because some people it doesn't bother them at
No,
all.
first 10 miles, I was rock solid. And
Mm.
then starting at mile 10, I was like, all right, I think I've got something in my backpack. So
I
I pull
think
off the hydration pack and I start looking in the
I
storage
think.
pack or storage pouch.
Oh,
And I
okay.
found a who's the company? Is it Goo? I think it's called a Stroop waffle.
I don't know what company that
Yeah,
is.
it's like a weird waffly looking cookie thing. It kind of looks like a
Our fellow runners, do you know what we're talking about?
if you've ever seen those Stroop waffles, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's basically
It looks like a
like
waffle
a
cookie.
flat waffle, like wafer cookie type thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had one
Yeah.
of those in my backpack, so I was like, all right, let's do it.
Mhm.
I decided to eat that thing. Now, I knew that the newest that could be, the absolute newest would be that it was purchased last year at the Gasparilla. And
Mm,
that's the newest it could be. It's at least a year old.
yeah.
So one
Yeah.
thing that I learned is that they keep very well.
Uh-huh.
So that actually was fine. And we're very popular tonight.
Yeah,
So
we
sorry about
apparently
the
are
phone there.
this is like gonna date us. Our home phone
Yes,
was
we actually
ringing.
have a landline.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah. So okay, I lucked out into about 150 calories worth of sugar that I could take in right then. So
you
I
know
did
you
that.
had a support team at home you could have called and I could have brought you
I could have.
nutrition.
I know. I could have. I didn't want to do anything to slow me down. So I was just cooking along at mile
Okay.
10. Knocked out the rest of it. I drank probably 75 to 80% of my hydration pack
Which
because
is good.
the whole time I was sweating from the minute I stepped out, but there was no
Yes.
evaporation taking place. None
No.
whatsoever. The
So
other,
that was a good thing that you had the hydration pack with you.
yes, but I should have trained with it.
Well, yeah, but to have it with you, I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I have been out on a run in the past and texted you or called you when I was out there without anything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dana, Dana, Dana. Yes. Shaking our heads at you. Yes.
Yeah. So, I finished up. I started, and starting in about mile 11 is when I started texting you, letting you know that I was getting close. So
Yes.
Amy
Well,
sprung into action
I
when
was
I
following you
around
a
that
little
time.
bit on the GPS. Yes.
So she springs into action, and as I'm coming around the corner to our neighborhood, I see her out in the middle of the street. So I'm ready. At this point, I see her. I'm ready to get it done.
He's ready to be
I
off the road.
I just kind of decide to do away with the intervals and just kind of trot on in.
Yes.
And that's when I felt the one blister, and I only got one little blister, but I felt that one blister decide to pop, and I'm like, oh,
Oh,
this is.
that's when you felt it?
I'm like, yeah, this is
Oh,
gonna feel good. So got a little one little blister, not too bad, but that's the time it decided to give, and then I crossed the finish line. And Amy had done this beautiful chalk finish line right in front of our house. Yeah, you've posted pictures in social media.
I did.
Is that going to be in the episode artwork?
Oh, no.
Okay.
But I'll post it on our social media again, like in the story to show the release of the episode. I know Susie. What was he thinking?
Susie's asking in the chat, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
I honestly,
Yeah.
sometimes I do these weird science projects with myself to kind of get an idea of what I can do and what I can't do. And I knew that worst case scenario, I could always call Amy and go, "Hey, bring me a peanut butter sandwich,
Or
or
whatever.
whatever I might need."
Yeah.
So as far away from the house as I wasn't that far, and I had my phone the entire time,
It's true.
and I
We've
knew
called
that
each
she
other
was home.
before. We've
So
called each other before for
I
hydration,
I
nutrition.
I do like to do that every now and then just to kind of see what the deal is. I'm not really a huge fan of big meals before a race. If I
When
have this
you
to do over, which I do in like 2 weeks,
have a safety net,
I'm gonna do a little bit of oatmeal in the morning.
like the cold soaked
Yeah, the
oats
cold
that
soaked
we do.
oats that we show,
Love that.
and I'm going to make sure that I have a little bit better nutrition along with me as I
Hmm.
go. But what I am going to be doing over the next 2 weeks as I'm doing my short training runs is taking a fully loaded, even if I don't drink out of it, I'm going to take a fully loaded hydration pack with me
Yeah.
to get you back to used to carrying that.
Yeah.
Because
It's good. I mean,
that change, that's probably the biggest change. And we always say don't do anything new on race
race
day.
day. Yeah.
Oh, and Jen got it right. Stinger.
Stinger.
Thank you. Stinger is the brand of those Stroop waffles. By the way, if you're looking for on course nutrition, those are pretty darn good.
Not bad,
Like
right?
they actually don't taste bad, and they're not as gummy as the blocks. And I think
And they didn't upset your tummy.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good stomach when it comes to that stuff. But the goos or the gels sometimes I have to find the right flavors. Like some of them are really cloyingly sweet.
They're the consistency makes them hard to ingest.
Yeah, it's like eating cake frosting. It's
Some of the
and
flavors.
except yeah, some of the they're really thick and they're very sugary.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
the waffle was a really nice change of pace for that. So yay! I'm
mhm,
actually pretty
mhm.
happy. I would buy those again. And
Yeah.
again, not a sponsor of the show,
No, but,
but if you're
yep.
looking for something that you might want to give a try to,
Yeah. I mean,
that'd be a good way to go.
stinger, you could yeah.
So
Mm.
we got I got this fantastic 5K medal. I'm gonna do the 5K medal right here real
There's
quick.
there's some more confetti.
Oh, there's probably again, we're gonna be finding confetti for
A
weeks.
lot of time.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the medals are adorable.
I like that this one had the outline and had everywhere together on it, and 2021. Like, in years past, it was the runner ribbon that is the signature of the Donna, but it it usually is just the runner ribbon and doesn't have where it says the Donna 5K 2021 everywhere together. And I think that was really smart of them considering what they had to do to go virtual.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I agree.
mhm.
And then of course the half marathon medal, which I really appreciate the way
I love it.
this they did a lot with this metal. There's a lot going on here. There's a
Mhm.
lot of detail in the relief of the metallic portion of the metal itself. I also love their use of the stained glass style
Oh, so do
inserts,
I.
which I think just give it a really nice pop of color and make it really stand out. And I'm starting to finally, if you look on the video back behind us, that's my very first metal hanger ever.
I got it for him for Valentine's Day.
So I put that up. We're gonna start, filling up this wall as part of our set. But I've never hung any of my medals, and having some of these that kind of stand out is just a really nice feature that I think it's just I appreciate very much because again, especially if you're doing a virtual race and you're looking for that awesome bling to be your motivator.
Yes.
I think it's nice to get that medal that's just very satisfying. And Jessica in the chat saying, Dana, note to self. Oh,
Yeah.
there were some notes on this one. Believe me, the one saving grace to this was I did get the chance to wear my new shoes a little bit before the 5K, and then I broke them in really well on the 5K, and my shoes didn't really give me a problem. The spot that I get my blisters on the outside of my right toe, that's kind of no matter what shoes I ever wear, I get that. So
Mm.
that's just
I
something
think that the
that
number of
happens.
hours that you're on your feet also because you hadn't done the full distance or the
Right.
back to back.
Okay, okay, that was one more thing. One
Mm,
more thing. I really needed to get the mileage up ahead of that
right.
because the wall is a real thing, and even Josh was talking about, like slam through that wall.
Yeah.
The train wall is a PITA. Yes, it
Mhm.
is, and it is a real thing.
Mhm.
So I mean, I knew it going in. That's why I wasn't trying to kill myself on this one, and I know that I also have one more virtual half that I owe to the running gods, and
Yes.
that is for the Metal Chasers
Yep.
Avengers series. So
So really you use this for training for
this was
that,
actually more kind of a training run for
I
that.
guess. And oh, hey, Rob Nadow says honey stinger sounds like they have a longer shelf life than the MRE.
They certainly tasted better than the
So
MRE. I'm not going to lie there.
yeah.
And for a candy, especially,
Yeah.
Stinger waffles will be the only thing left standing after the apocalypse, along with
We
Twinkies and Ozzy Osbourne.
runners who have stocked up on those waffles are gonna be like, sitting pretty.
Yeah, you're golden.
Yeah.
I was really pretty shocked at how well that that came together or held together in the backpack,
Yeah.
and did its job. It kept me from wanting to harm a neighborhood pet or something on my way home for
You're not
food.
gonna harm a pet. Come on. Stop that.
But
Really?
the nice thing, and I actually wore this out in public after
Yes.
the run,
Yes.
was I did complete my back-to-back challenges, which gave me the Booby Trap Challenge. And
So
this year's
good.
color, they
So
went
good.
with blue and light blue. And again, nice details, a lot of relief work, nice little pink running ribbon thrown in there. as an
Mhm.
accent. I mean,
Yeah.
they just did a really nice job with this. So,
I love it.
it was great to get the challenge medal and to get that done.
Mhm.
So I'm really happy. I did miss running in the beaches of Jacksonville, and
That's really hard, yeah.
I missed the fact that we had, you normally get that 13.1 mile street party, but I did get some nice scenery on the run. I actually took a couple of photos.
And you had some nice people along the way who were running and biking that actually cheered you
Yeah, I
on.
ran into some other runners out on the course. They
Because
were
wearing
super nice.
wearing your bib helped, I think.
That Well, they actually asked. They asked me
Yeah.
if I was running a Disney race, and I said,
Mhm.
"No, no, it's not." They thought it was Princess, and I said, "Nope, not Princess, but here's what it
Oh, yeah,
is,"
yeah, yeah.
and explained to them. They're like, "Oh, that's cool." So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, all the pink, I mean.
oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I was
yeah.
in full pink regalia,
Mhm.
pink shirt, had the running kilt on, had the everything in pink sunglasses, pink headband,
Yeah.
the gator that is
Yes,
part
that
of
was
the race
great. That
swag.
was great. And so many others who were doing their virtual miles or adding to their virtual miles this weekend were wearing our shirts,
That was so awesome to see.
or they were wearing pink, they were wearing it was
Well,
just
I love that because, of course, we love seeing the podcast out there, but we
oh
also
yeah.
love knowing the fact that if you guys are on the team and you bought a shirt, you did a double whammy for donating to the Donna Foundation, and
Mhm.
you're awesome. That
Yeah.
is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I am learning so much from the chat talking
Right?
about these running snacks.
Right?
So we will typically buy a few when we go to a running expo and try some stuff out. But again, on race day, we don't normally do
No.
something new.
No, we might buy them then to use for shorter runs afterward
Yeah.
or something like that, just to try if we haven't seen it before.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sum total to sum up, I made a lot of questionable decisions with starting out my half marathon, but I was also going very conservative. I knew it was going to be okay. My average pace was 16 minutes 43
I
seconds,
love it.
and my total time was 3 hours 39 minutes 19 seconds.
I
Not
love
the
it.
fastest in the world. I am, again, using this as a training
I
run.
think you were very smart to go, I haven't done the full distance. I haven't done back-to-back race days. So I'm just going to do like a fast walk. I'm
Right.
not going to do intervals. I'm going to slow it down like Jeff Galloway says.
Right.
You're the captain of the ship, and if you can be smart enough to think about your training and listen to your body and slow it down, you have the perfect opportunity in a virtual to do that.
Yeah, and that was kind of the idea. Now, when I do my Thor
Hmm.
half, that's going to be a different story
Different.
because
So
now,
now you're going to try and beat this.
yes,
Yeah.
because now I've done the distance in the last, it will be within the last 2 weeks,
And it won't be back to
and
back
it's not a back
runs.
to back run,
That's
and I'm
true.
going to be running with my hydration for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I have
Perfect.
my short term training plan. We're going to see how that goes,
Yeah.
and we have a time to compare it to.
We were talking about weather all through this running segment, and we didn't even hit the bell. Hitting the bell.
The bell, the weather bell.
The
Um,
weather bell. Okay, now I did it.
because like we've said, Florida is not participating in winter, or at least it hasn't for the last week. And I'm going to set this bell over here now.
I got it in.
She got
And
her fix in.
and that's a lesson to learn. You slow down, the hotter it is or the more humid it is.
Oh yeah,
You slow
yeah.
down.
If I had done
Slowing down is
even just
slowing
five,
down is smart.
yeah, if I had even done just 5:55 segments on this, I had have probably gotten my time closer to a 15-minute mile for it. But I didn't have a real desire
Right.
to get
Right.
that. I wanted to get this as a training run under my belt and then
Yeah.
go for time on the Thor. So
Exactly.
that worked out
Exactly.
very nicely for me.
So the chat full of runners.
I am very excited for some of
Very
these tips on the race nutrition options.
yes. Yes. Never anything new on race day. Food, drink, running plan, anything.
Not
All the
wrong.
things. Rule number one,
You're not
nothing
wrong.
new.
And while we're just talking about that, if you're doing like the gels or the blocks or whatever, make sure you read them carefully, because if you get the ones with caffeine and you haven't been accustomed to those can be an attention getter.
Right. Or if you don't normally drink coffee in the morning,
Right.
don't start on race day.
So just be mindful. Yeah.
You know?
Nothing new.
I'm saying.
So,
I'm just saying. So,
but after that race, we literally got showered, dressed, and headed out for post race recovery brunch.
oh, mm, so good.
Southwest, we're lucky. Living in Southwest Florida puts us in proximity to places like Tampa, Orlando, Miami, and the Keys, but we
Hmm.
also have a wealth of stuff here locally.
And
Downtown Fort
yeah,
Myers, the beaches of
of
Sanibel,
course.
Fort Myers Beach, and of course,
Pine
Pine Island
Island,
and Matlacha.
Matt Lachey. Yeah. And I think i- our area is a vacation destination, a runcation destination, because there's the City of Palms half marathon here. That's a fairly new race, but if you are coming here for a runcation, a vacation, and you're visiting the beaches of Sanibel and you venture out to Pine Island, or you go to Pine Island, and I mean there are there's Airbnb opportunities out there. There are little inns,
Yes.
cottages that are just go they're gorgeous. They're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Matlacha has a very artsy, it's like an artist's community meets a fishing village, and then Pine Island is kind of old Florida fishing village, and homes of every stripe out there on the island.
Right.
But we didn't go all the way out to Pine Island. We stopped in between. So when you leave the
No.
mainland of Cape Coral, you go to Matlacha after you cross the first bridge
And then you eventually get into
into Pine Island proper.
And so Matt Lachey and this particular restaurant is about 15 minutes from our house. But it felt like we were going to a vacation destination, to be honest, because it was like a little town with sidewalks and little shops, and there was a coffee shop, and there was like a pizzeria, an Italian place. Just like the kind of small town that when you visit, all the locals take you in.
Oh yeah.
It had that kind of vacation-y feel, the beautiful view of the water,
Hmm.
and just yeah.
It didn't feel like we were only 20 minutes from our house.
No, it was amazing.
And when you go out to that area, it you forget that you're just a hop, skip, and a jump from places like Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and just up the road from Punta Gorda,
Yeah.
Port Charlotte. So it's a great location for vacationing, for runcation. You mentioned the city of Palms. You also have
Mhm.
the Naples,
Oh, yeah, Naples Daily News
which
half.
is I believe that's a Boston qualifier.
I don't know.
I believe the Naples Marathon's a Boston qualifier.
I don't know because I haven't done it. I don't know. But
So there are runs to be done down here.
indeed.
But we decided to go to a place that was recommended to us by some friends. And then we started checking out their social media, and we could not believe some of the things that we were seeing. We
Mm.
went to a spot that is about a mile and 2/10 on the island called the Blue Dog Bar and Grill in Matlacha. And all you have to do is get onto Matlacha and keep an eye out for it on the left. It is on the main road going into Pine Island, which is
Mhm.
aptly named Pine
Highland
Island
Road.
Road. And this
Yeah.
place has really everything you can ask for. It's tiny little storefront, or it's tiny little frontage. You walk in, it's longer than it is wide,
Mhm.
and then it kind of opens up in the back. Plus, they have outdoor seating.
Mhm.
Plus, if you're boating,
You could boat up.
right up to the back dock.
Yeah, and we've had such good luck in the past with restaurants and eateries and little dive bars that we've encountered where you could just boat and breweries too, that
Mhm.
where you can just boat right up.
Yes, we actually have had tremendous luck. We were actually commenting on the
Yeah.
fact that every place we've gone where you could boat up
Mhm.
ended up being a winner.
Blackwater Siren, um, Wicked Barley Brewing,
Yep.
just to name a couple. So
And this one's no exception.
yeah, this one is no exception. We sampled a variety of things from both their regular menu and from their brunch menu. Mm, 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 mm,
Yeah. Now, when you go to a seafood place here
mm.
in Florida, it's kind of funny. you would think that you're only going to get fresh food. That's not always the case, especially if you're going to places that are the larger corporate chains, which pride themselves on consistent quality across the country, regardless of where you go.
Yeah.
Coming to Florida, there really is nothing like getting fresh caught seafood cooked
Right.
the same day.
Right.
And
Oh, Kiki's Sandbar is another place where we've seen that down in the
exactly.
Keys.
Yeah, where you can boat right up.
Mhm.
So when you go to a place like this, and we said, so tell us, what is what are the items on the menu we should avoid as far as seafood goes? What's frozen, what's fresh?
Oh, yeah.
And
And hey, shout out to our server, Megan.
yeah, Megan was awesome.
She was rock. She's like,
She was a rock star.
are you guys first timers here?" And they're doing all the precautions,
Yep, masked
all
up the
men,
whole time.
safety
Yeah.
and distancing and all of that. And it was just, I really just, I she was a fountain of information, and she said everything that you see on the menu that is seafood is fresh. Everything is, well, she said everything
Everything.
was fresh. She didn't qualify it as seafood because they have burgers as well that looked
Well, no,
amazing.
she
But
specifically said that
did she?
they don't have any frozen seafood on the menu.
No.
So that I think was fantastic.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that if you are in a fishing village where these are literally fishermen who are
Mhm.
going out in the morning. And
Yeah.
she said it is very likely the person that caught your meal is sitting at the bar having a beer right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that
And she
delivered
wasn't
it.
even exaggerating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are certain dishes that are regional when you go someplace. If you go down to Key West, it's very common that you're going to see Key West pink shrimp on the menu.
Mhm.
One thing that I always get if I see it on the menu is smoked fish dip.
Yes.
That is a very Florida thing. It's
Mhm.
something I grew up eating, and it's something that we talked a lot about. Eating seafood reminds you of childhood
Yes, very much so
and
because, well, we'll get into it when we get into the
your
dish
dish.
that I the dish that I had.
But for me, it's the smoked fish dip, and
Mm,
specifically, that varies from region to region here in Florida.
yeah.
Um, I love smoked mullet,
Oh,
and they were doing their dip out of smoked mullet.
and I thought, and came with blue corn chips and house pickled jalapeno.
Yeah, that was the okay, and that was the
Mm,
twist on this. Well, actually, there were two. So the actual dip itself, you had the very finely shredded smoked mullet, which was smoked
yes.
perfectly. So you had the hint of smoke, which was
Hmm.
right up front,
Oh yeah.
but it didn't drown out the flavor of the fish.
Right. And it wasn't fishy.
It
It
wasn't
was
fishy,
briny taste of the sea.
and they didn't overdo it with the mayonnaise.
No, it was flakier rather than creamier.
Yes. And we've had both kinds on the show in the past because this
Hmm.
is not our first time doing a fish dip on the
No.
show. So the fish dip had a very simple combination of ingredients. Of course, it had capers, which gave
Hmm.
you that nice salty pop
Yeah.
when you bite into the caper berry, and red onion,
Oh, so
and then fish, tons of
good.
fish.
So good.
I cannot tell you, you could not ask for a better fish dip that's more representative of the area. Mullet is a
Yeah.
very popular fish in South Florida.
Yeah. And I think this type of dip warranted like a fork or a spoon getting the dip and putting it on the chip
Yeah, because the dip was actually
because
so thick.
it was hearty in
Yes.
terms of the flaky fish. So, but you get a little bit of that pickled jalapeno and you have a little bit of that salty chip and
And where they could have simply bought a jar of pickled
they did
jalapenos,
not.
they didn't. They made a point of actually slicing and house pickling their own jalapenos. I mean, come on.
So good.
What an nice extra step.
So good.
And then you eyeballed the second item we tried.
Yeah, we've had conch fritters in Key West. We've had conch fritters here in Cape Coral, but we had never heard of conch fritter patties. That was a new presentation for us.
Very much so. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah. So these are four large patties, and they just, I mean, they looked like,
Like a corn cake.
yeah, but They weren't flaky, they were just solid
and crunchy.
and crunchy, and and they were thin. They were thinner than, say, like a crab cake.
More like a pancake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, with a crunchy consistency. And that I think there are conch fritters like at DJ's Clam Shack in Key West.
Totally different. Totally different.
That's a hush puppy kind of consistency.
Exactly.
This is more like just a crunchy and kind of introductory presentation into conch.
Yeah, the conch fritters, the ones that we love, like say at DJ's Clam Shack down in the Keys, those have a very strong flavor of conch and very large pieces of conch. But a lot of people, if you've never had it before, if you're
Yeah,
just kind of if you're leery of it, this is a great introduction, like you said, to conch because the
yeah,
pieces are diced smaller
yeah.
and it's a more mellow flavor.
But I also think the star accompaniment
Oh, I know what you're going to
was
say.
the Pine Island
Oh
sauce,
my gosh.
which it had the consistency of like a jelly,
It kind of reminded me of pepper jelly, but
like a
then they had added stuff to it that was out of this world.
it was like a little spicy, but it was a little bit tangy. I just loved that. You could see the pepper in it,
Hmm.
but it was also like a vinegary.
But
I
it
don't
wasn't so spicy as to knock your socks off.
right. I think it was a
Sweet heat.
great yeah, a great example of sweet heat, and it went with the patties very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we started with a couple of appetizers to share. I could not
Yeah.
recommend either of these anymore. And they say that they use a classic Bahamian recipe or Bahamian from the Bahamas to recipe to make these cakes. So they took that recipe and flattened it out
Yeah.
and it changes the game. It changes the dish
Yeah.
completely because you really are getting a milder flavor and a different textural component. So
For sure.
loved that.
For sure.
But then we went to entrees.
We did. And this is what reminded me of childhood. This. There is a very short window and a short season in which you can get stone crabs. Here in Florida, we had some at Fishtail Grill on the show, and
Another local restaurant here in Cape
another
Coral.
local restaurant here in Cape Coral. But I saw them and I thought, hey, you can't really get them all over the place. We had the really large claws there. These are medium claws.
Yeah. Now, if you're thinking, what's the difference between like a stone crab and a blue crab or a snow crab? Well, stone crab, you don't eat the whole crab.
No.
They harvest these crabs and they have one large claw. Then they tear that claw off and toss the crab back in the water, and the crab regrows that claw.
Hmm.
So it's a great renewable resource, but they, like Amy said, short season on them.
Hmm. And these were medium. These were billed, I would say, on the menu as medium
Hmm.
claws, but they were so big uh, by medium stand. I don't. I think they were medium plus
I think you're right. These could there are some restaurants that would have called
to
these large
say.
claws.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So you can get 6 of them as an entree, or you can get 3 of them as an appetizer portion on the brunch menu.
Yeah, and because of the thickness of their shell, a restaurant will steam them, and they'll usually serve them chilled,
Yeah.
and then they will pre-crack the claw for you. This is not one that
Yeah.
you have an easy time with at the table without some
No.
assistance of a hammer,
I think you have an easier time, and I got not a hammer, but I got
a cracker.
a cracker and a tiny fork and a large fork, but I think you have an easier time with, snow crab.
Yeah, snow crab is a great. You get long pieces
Those
of,
shells are
you know,
easier to crack.
yeah, long slender pieces of meat from the legs.
So I judge a
This is just the claw
restaurant
meat.
a I judge a restaurant by how well they pre-crack, so that you don't spend a majority of the time in your meal fighting with getting the meat out of the
100%.
shell.
Yeah, and if they're properly pre-cracked, you're actually getting more meat out of the shell intact as opposed to being shredded.
Mm.
And I mean, trust me, shredded crab meat's great,
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's something just so satisfying about that big, knuckle of
I think
crab meat.
you have a picture of me with a
I
whole
do.
one
I do. You should share that
with
one.
with the mustard sauce, the house-made mustard sauce, which tasted like it was Dijon and horseradish, although they would not share the recipe, of course.
Of course not.
But I like to get them with the house-made sauce, but also with drawn butter, because that's just the way I am. It harkens back to childhood.
Yeah.
So I had them both ways, and the meat was tender. It wasn't tough.
They didn't overcook these claws.
No, no, and I think chilled was the perfect way,
Yeah.
whether you had the hot drawn butter or the chilled house-made mustard sauce. It's it's flaky, it's a taste of crab. It's it's a it's a tad bit sweet, but not quite as sweet as snow crab.
Yeah.
And it's just delightful.
It really is.
It really is. So if you eat seafood and you are a meat eater, during the stone crab season it would be terrific to
Which starts
try.
mid to late October.
Yeah, and it's just a few months,
Right.
but if you can get it and try it, Blue Dog Bar and Grill, that's a place to go get it.
It really is. It was great value for the money, and
Mm,
I couldn't agree with you more.
beautiful.
I see Cheryl in the chat is saying she's never had mullet, but if she's ever in Florida, she knows what to keep an eye out for.
Oh,
Mullet is a more of a regional delicacy. There are a lot of
yeah.
places that a lot of people will joke about it being a bait fish, but
Oh, yeah.
it's very often you'll actually see people roadside here in Florida selling smoked mullet.
Mhm.
So it's very common to see it smoked. And I almost got it for my entree. I was honed in
I
on it
know.
and I
You talked about
zigged
it.
when I was going to zag at the last minute. And I ended up going instead for my entree with their shrimp and grits.
And you almost got the mullet and grits, and I've never seen that on the menu.
This was kind of unique. They
Yeah.
do a local version of shrimp and grits here, and they are serving these monster Gulf pink shrimp. I mean,
Mm.
we're talking probably UH size shrimp, so about 2 ounces cooked.
They were huge.
They were huge.
Mhm.
So big pink shrimp, andouille sausage, or applewood smoked bacon, Cajun seasoning on the shrimp,
Mm.
and they then garnish the whole plate with scallions, and they're serving this on this beautiful bowl of cheese grits, and then they put just a little bit of shrimp broth right on top.
I think that is the money.
So it was kind of like almost like a red eye gravy, which isn't really gravy, but it's like a red eye gravy on top of your shrimp and grits, and it was just this amazing
It's like seafood
salty.
stock. It's like stock.
It's exactly what it
It's
is.
like the perfect stock.
It was this salty, smoky, taste of the sea, creamy cheese grits.
And I love the coarse ground grits.
I do too.
So tasty.
These were perfectly cooked shrimp, a little bit of Cajun spice on those shrimp,
But not
and
overly spicy.
not like hot.
Yeah.
No, don't think of it as like cayenne pepper.
As you can tell, we share.
But the bite was perfect. They weren't overcooked. They weren't rubbery at all.
Mm-mm.
I mean, just an amazing dish. So I love shrimp and grits. That's a very southern combination that
And
I grew up with.
it's your mom's favorite dish. It's one of your mom's
It was one of
favorite
my mom's favorite
dishes.
dishes. Yes.
So I think that was very appropriate to have at this brunch, and they knocked it out of the park. So what a tribute.
Yeah, they really
So
did.
great. And that is in the episode artwork.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Mm.
Good. I haven't seen the episode artwork yet.
Yeah.
So I cannot recommend this place enough. We are
Remind us of the restaurant's name again.
This is the Blue Dog Bar and Grill
Mhm.
in Matlacha, Florida. We're
Yes.
going to have links in the show notes, of
Mhm.
course, to their website, and check out their social media game. The
Oh,
pictures of
yeah.
their food is fantastic, and
On
it's going.
Facebook and Instagram. I haven't gone to their Twitter if they had a Twitter.
But if our
So,
descriptions are making your mouth water,
imagine what the
imagine.
pictures will show you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty insane.
Oh. Oh.
But
I'm dreaming of it.
before we go on,
Yes.
we want to say thank you to all of our patrons for your support and the fact that you guys have helped us to grow in 2020 and into 2021. The growth has continued, and we cannot thank you enough. But we have a special shout out today.
We do. We have a couple, actually. I would like first to start with James Gray. Jim Gray, who, if you watched our coffee chat this morning, sent us a can of whoop ass coffee from
That's
Jittery Joe's Coffee.
that's the name of the coffee.
Yeah, we are not cursing on the Runny Drink podcast, but it was the actual name of it. And it was quite delightful. And he sent us a gift as we celebrate his 1 year anniversary of becoming a patron of our show, an insider, no less, at the highest level.
And we can attribute and say thank you to him. He's the one that kind of kicked us in the rear end to
Yeah.
get started with a Patreon program. So
'Cause
thank you, Jim, for
yeah,
getting us going.
because we hadn't said anything about it. We met him at 2 different races, at the Jeff Galloway half and at the Donna Marathon Weekend, and he sought us out and supported our show. And I just every time I think about it, I get choked up. And even more, uh, well, not even more, but even more support, I would say, that we got over this past week as we celebrated his 1 year. A longtime patron of our show, John Schroeder, who has been a founder, edited his pledge and became an insider at the highest level.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We can't thank you all enough. And John Schroeder, your name is now in lights in the proper section of our website on the insider portion.
Yes.
And your koozie is on its way to you. And we just can't thank all of you enough. Whether you are a fan, a founder, or an insider of our show, you have supported our brand new studio. You have supported
Yeah, everything that's going up in here is because of you
all the
guys.
technology and the enhancements to that end of it.
And we're hoping to keep improving.
And we talk a lot about the different things we want to do, all the different live streams that we've been able to do. The live streaming of our show tonight is a result of patron support.
Oh,
And we
absolutely.
have some patrons in the chat right here, right now. Josh and Susie and Cheryl, and I know I'm probably missing some people here in the chat, but
But you all are amazing. And
everybody,
and the fact that in a year like 2020, people
yeah,
were coming out of the woodwork to support us was
yeah.
amazing, and that it's continuing on this year.
Because when you are a travel podcast for runners,
That can't travel, that's us.
yeah,
So
you have to pivot, and with your support, we've been able to do that.
yeah, we've been able to keep bringing you the show in spite of these challenges, and we're hoping to keep doing it for years to come.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in becoming a patron, please go to patreon.com/run eat drink podcast. Check out the 3 levels of support: $2, $5, or $10. And each one of those levels have their own special perks as we continue to add value and content and do cool stuff for you guys into 2021 and
Mhm.
beyond. Patrons get a special thank you message from us. And there's also audio and video bonus content that you guys will get as well. And we have some stuff coming very soon, like some beer reviews, and
Mhm.
we may have a definitive guide to non-animal based milks coming.
Yes, we're planning.
We're
We're
putting
we're
we joked about this the other day.
planning.
We actually went to the store
Yeah.
and bought all the stuff. So we're
Yeah.
working on a video for patrons for that. So check that out. Patreon.com/Run Eat Drink Podcast. Insiders get a look behind the scenes, get access to video footage of special interviews. We're going to be doing some cooking demos.
Yeah.
So we got some stuff planned. It's going to be a good year.
It's going to be a good year. So if you're not a patron already, we hope, or if you know someone that's thinking about it, we hope that you'll send them our way to patreon.com/Run Eat Drink Podcast to learn more and become a patron. And as always, whether you do that or not, our show will always be free. And we thank all of you for all the ways that you support the Run Eat Drink Podcast.
So we are going to try this again. Last week,
we're going to do it.
Last week we made the
good
attempt.
about it.
I feel really good about it.
Feel good.
It's almost like I read the instruction manual.
Oh my
God. This time. We actually were very fortunate to have a great interview last week that we actually got into the episode of the podcast.
Yes, Kevin from Barrel of Monks Brewing.
We are going to attempt to play that for you right now in the live stream as well as on the podcast.
What?
Yeah.
We're going to do Kevin's?
Not Kevin's.
Oh.
No.
I'm so confused.
The scheduled interview for this week. We're going to try to play the scheduled interview for this week in the live stream as well as on the podcast proper. So why don't you tell us who we're going to be talking to?
I'm sorry. It's my bad. I'm sorry. I was like, okay. So I will tell you that whenever National Bloody Mary Day was, I think it was at the beginning of January sometime, I posted a picture of one of our opportunities that we've had to try a Bloody Mary or a Caesar, if you will.
Yes.
Which would be one, but with
the Canadian version of the Bloody Mary.
The Canadian version of the Bloody Mary, yes, with the brine of
clam juice.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I posted one of our favorites and I asked, what is your favorite? And Colin and Annie Dawkins of Sunday's Bloody Mary Mix answered the call. I can't believe they tweeted at me. Actually, it was on Twitter. They're pretty active on Twitter. And they were like, well, we're pretty partial to ours. And I was like, okay, challenge accepted. And they said, we'll order it. We'll come on the show. They gave us a little discount code.
A discount code for you guys.
Yeah.
And we're going to share that in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah. And we'll be sharing that. So Colin and Annie, I can't tell you, they were generous with their time and
they were so sweet.
And their social media game is just on point. So without further ado, we're going to play the interview with Colin and Annie Dawkins of Sunday's Bloody Mary Mix. Here it is. Dana, it is time for the drink segment on our show. I think that the Bloody Mary has been neglected on our show. We've had it a couple of times.
And we've had its northern cousin, the Caesar.
The Caesar, yes, at Le Cellier and in Disney. We've been covering a lot of virtual races. We're getting ready to complete virtual races. We need something that we can make at home that will be worth the finish line that we will cross for the Donna Marathon Weekend.
Yeah, and the key to making one of these drinks is not just throwing tomato juice and a spirit in a glass and hoping for the best. You got to get the right mix, and finding a delicious mix is key, and we have done just that.
And let me tell you, I'm so excited because it was National Bloody Mary Day, and I posted a picture from one of the places that we had been on the show, and I said, where's the best Bloody Mary you've ever had? And then Colin and Annie Dawkins from Sunday's Bloody Mary Mix chimed in and said, you've got to try ours. Well, so
challenge accepted.
Yes. Welcome to our show, you two.
Hi, thank you for having us.
We're glad to be here.
Oh, we're so excited. And the stars aligned and you all answered our message on Twitter, and then we ordered this mix. And let me tell you, what we're sipping on now is quite delightful. How long have you been? How long have you been doing this and making these tasty mixes?
May 2020 was when we launched our company, but we had been sampling for a couple of years before that with our own recipes. But yeah, we found the perfect one and launched it in May.
Wow. And it has been quite popular, I take it.
It has, yeah. So we launched it in May, like Annie said. We launched on all of our social media platforms. We're more of a direct-to-consumer brand. And in the first 6 to 9 months of the company, I always say this, but we're the most followed Bloody Mary mix on Twitter. So that's our kind of thing right now, and the reviews that we're receiving have been pretty great. It's been fun.
Yeah, some people they get your mix and the artwork, the pictures they post on Instagram and on Twitter are amazing. Like the garnishes that people put with your mix, and that was so eye-catching. And we had to order the spicy Bloody Mary mix. But before we get into what we ordered, what was your inspiration for starting the company around Bloody Marys?
It seems very specific.
How it got started, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was like we got hooked onto Bloody Marys from my dad. He has the original recipe that inspired our recipe. And he set the bar pretty high. Every Sunday, Colin and I would go out in Lancaster and try and find our favorite Bloody Mary. And every time we're like, man, I think ours is better. So, no offense, but we just loved ours. And so we thought, why not create a company and share that with the world? So yeah, that's where it started.
So it was a family recipe that inspired this company that launched in May of 2020.
Yes.
And now you have, I perused the website when I painstakingly ordered the spicy Bloody Mary mix, but that is not all you have on your website. Can you talk a little bit about the products that you feature that everybody can order and get delivered to their homes?
Yeah, sure. So right now we have a spicy mix, a mild mix, and a vegan mix. In addition to that, we made a rim salt to complement the Bloody Mary. And then, so that's what we have right now as far as consumption. And we also have like our shirts. And then depending on the season, we like to add pickled items in there. Dilly beans, pickled okra, pickles. Those are all coming this summer as well.
And those are going to make for amazing garnishes, I think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You actually touched on something that I was going to ask about.
Yeah.
Because we are runners and we do so much training, we eat vegan 6 days a week, and day 7 we go off, but you offer a vegan option. And a lot of people forget a lot of times that some of the ingredients in a Bloody Mary or in a Caesar, depending on if you're using the clam juice or not, aren't vegan. Can you talk about what prompted you to offer that and tell us a little bit about the product?
Sure. So I always like to have a vegan option. I spent a period of my life not consuming any animal products, and I always appreciated going somewhere, looking on somebody's site, and they had those options that were animal friendly. So I just wanted to present that within our own company and be able to provide that for people who also don't consume the animal products. But in addition to that, there are people with shellfish allergies, and we do use clam juice in our product. So I wanted to not leave anybody out. I wanted everyone to have the opportunity to try our Bloody Marys.
Yeah, to add on to that too, this was probably this is our latest recipe anyway, the vegan, and just making sure it was the, same quality level as our first 2 originals and getting it to that level. I think that we're very proud of getting it there without using some of the main ingredients in our original recipes. So we're very proud of the vegan mix. It's definitely worth trying out, even if you're not full-time vegan or that's not your regular diet.
Yeah, I love that when a company makes the effort and you guys making sure that you're not losing quality just because you're offering a vegan option. So many times people equate, and incorrectly so, that the vegan option is going to taste less than.
For sure.
Right.
And that's not the case here.
Yeah. So that was one of the first things that caught my eye when I was checking out your site for the first time. But you also have a subscription box.
Oh, right. Yeah, we do have our subscription box. We make sure that, so when you order the box, it's 2 Bloody Marys and a customized card that I hand paint. And in addition to that, like here and there, we'll throw in just a little surprise each month, whether it's a skewer or a koozie. We try and just keep it fresh. And the box will be delivered hopefully on the first Sunday of every month.
Now, in the box, you said there are two jars of the Bloody Mary mix. Can you mix and match, or do you have to go with the same, or how does that work?
Yep. Yeah, you can mix and match whatever 2 you'd like out of the spicy mild and the vegan. We also, with these boxes too, usually these, customers, people that order these boxes, they get the first samples of the things that we're working on. Ooh. So they're the first ones to try out the rim salt. They got samples of, I think, the vegan mix. And when we first order merch, we'll send out some stuff to them as well. So there's some good perks in there too for those guys.
I love getting insider exclusives like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's $20 a month, and it arrives on the first Sunday of the next month. That is.
So you're ready to rock for brunch for the next 4 weeks.
Exactly right.
Now, how do you all make the perfect Bloody Mary? Obviously, it's with your mix, but can you talk a little bit about the way you concoct the perfect cocktail?
Yeah. So what we wanted to do with this mix, and what I think is different from some other mixes out there, is that when you open this up, if you put it in a glass and you pour vodka in there, you're set to go. You can't go wrong with that. There's always, you can add in your garnishes and ice to chill it, that sort of thing. But that's really what I think makes ours different from, we see like a Zing Zang out there, or the pre-made mixes where you have to, if you want to make a good Bloody Mary mix out, or a good Bloody Mary out of those mixes, you're going to have to, doll it up. You're going to have to add the hot sauce, add the Worcestershire, and the salts, your spices there. It's not ready to go. But I think ours is, and that's what we set out to do from the beginning, for sure.
And that's actually the first thing I noticed was, we normally, if we're doing Bloody Marys at home, it's exactly what you said. If you get a pre-made mix, you find the one that you like, but that has an asterisk next to it. That's a base. Yeah. It's not a complete Mary. You are still getting 4 or 5 other things out of the pantry to add to that.
Mm-hmm. You have to chase after what? You have to chase after horseradish, maybe.
Horseradish, Worcestershire, lime juice,
Tabasco,
whatever the case may be. You got the first thing I noticed when we got the package was this looks like it's ready to go, right in the jar.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And you use, I like the level. We got the spicy Bloody Mary mix. We didn't get the vegan one this time. And it's not like just a one level spice. It is not just, it builds and it warms, and it's not just one note. How did you accomplish that? Can you share any of your,
without giving away the secret recipe?
Of course.
Maybe.
That's a good question. I would just say that you are right on the ball there with the layers of flavor. That's how, when we started this, I was talking to my brother. I'm like, how would you describe this? And he's like, Annie, it has just layers of flavor, and it just reveals itself as you go. And I just think that would probably be the combination of ingredients of, you have your savory, you have your a little bit more like mild, fresh flavors, and then that spicy always comes in at the end. And there's that consistency that it has with it. There's the horseradishes in there and some of the seasonings you can see. And I just feel as that, like, as you're drinking it, and those are just, I don't know, they unwrap themselves as you're consuming it. Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
You can't give away your recipe, your secrets, but I just like to applaud you because it builds, but it's the type of drink that you can have with a meal, let's say a Sunday brunch,
Absolutely.
if you will, that will not in texture, like you said, it won't overpower the meal. It will complement a Sunday brunch very nicely, which leads me to an important question.
Sure.
What meal, what item, what goes perfectly with this Bloody Mary?
Yeah, what's your go-to?
Yeah.
So it depends on how many garnishes you put on it. Sometimes the Bloody Mary alone is its meal, right?
That could be great.
But our classic Sunday brunch, like our favorite Sundays, is when Colin is making waffles, which is also a family recipe. And he'll stick with the waffles and his Bloody Mary. And then I like to make an egg sandwich out of my waffles. So just kind of spice it up a little bit. You can put sriracha on it, do that whole sweet and spicy, the layers of flavor. I carry that in through the food. Yeah, so that's our favorite, is like the homemade Belgian waffles and egg sandwich with our Bloody Marys.
So you're doing the savory Bloody Mary and you're leaning sweet on the brunch side.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, but an egg sandwich, a waffle egg sandwich.
That actually
highly
sounds
recommend it.
really good.
Like, yeah. Do you have, is there maple syrup involved in that?
More importantly, will there be a jar of Sunday's waffle batter coming soon?
Yeah.
Oh, good
Coming
idea.
soon.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to back up a little bit because you said it also depends on the way that you garnish the Bloody Mary. What is your perfect garnish?
So if you're asking me specifically, I just am ready to go with, like, I just want to pickle a dilly bean and a squeeze of lemon and lime. Not that you really need it, but I just like it. And I don't add too much to mine. And I don't eat meat, but I always see everybody with their bacon and the salami, and it always looks delicious. But yeah. So my perfect one is I just need the pickled goods in there and a squeeze of lemon and lime, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, you can't go wrong going crazy like that with the bacon, with the olives. And I've seen there's a place that we go to in Nashville that has a full chicken or a game hen. Yeah, just you can go crazy like that, and I'm all in for it. But for me, I think probably the most underrated garnish is pickled asparagus. That's always been one of my favorites. So good. We should have that. We definitely will have that on the site once it's back in season for us. And
we
really
love asparagus.
Show you guys what we're talking about there. So good.
We never thought about pickled asparagus.
Yeah, that sounds
it's underrated. You don't hear about it.
No, you don't. And I was going to ask you where you guys come down on these monstrous Bloody Marys with we have a place here within about an hour and a half drive of us that we've had on the show. And it's about a $30 Sunday brunch Mary.
Yeah.
But it's a meal, and it's
the whole thing.
It's incredible. The amount of stuff they quote unquote garnish this thing with.
So
yeah, like when we see that stuff, it's more art than it is something that you want to drink. I think it really does come down to how good is that Bloody Mary underneath all of that.
Yeah.
Whenever I see that stuff, it's what are you covering up down there? You have the best Bloody Mary in the world. Are you going to put all that on top of it? Who knows?
Then you need to keep it simple if you have great ingredients.
That's right.
In your drink. Now, is there a preferred vodka?
So we like Tito's. Tito's is always going in our Bloody Mary.
And you can always find it.
Yeah, I think it's convenience. I don't know. I like that it's gluten-free. I just love Tito's, and if it gives me a headache, no problems. So
yeah, and seriously, they love dogs too. Have you seen their packaging? And they have they're like, it's the vodka for dog lovers.
They're big on dog rescue.
Gosh.
Yeah,
I did not know that. I just learned something. Thank you.
I think they have a whole Instagram account.
They do,
dedicated to that.
They sure do.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go follow.
Yeah. So Tito's is your vodka of choice to mix with Sunday's Bloody Mary mix.
Right.
Okay. Yes. Now, is there a local business that uses your Bloody Mary mix?
Yeah, so we're just starting to really grow this side of the business. Again, with COVID and everything, it's been weird. So doing the like direct to consumer shipping out, that's been good to start. We are starting to get into more of Lancaster City and Lancaster County in Pennsylvania, where we're based out of. We're in a couple breweries. One of our favorites is Rainy Cellars. They're one of our favorite spots around here. But we're working on a couple come ups here. So hopefully be more widespread into Lancaster and Central PA as well.
And that's a brewery that you mentioned, Colin. That's that has your Bloody Mary mix, because
I'm guessing they're doing a Michelada.
Yeah, that would be great. Right? So what they,
because if they're not, I am.
They have some really good stuff. What they do right now, and where we're, for the most part, they sell our mix kind of in the jar, so they aren't selling it by the glass.
Oh, okay.
But we have a couple. Yeah, so we have a couple things lined up here in I would say probably in the next couple months where we will be more widely found in PA. So yeah, so big things coming.
It's good to know, because we are the Run Eat Drink podcast, and we have asked you about what a Sunday brunch item would be the perfect accompaniment to this Bloody Mary that you can make with your incredible spicy mix that we're drinking now. We can't wait until we can travel to races again. We've been doing a lot of virtual races, but we can't wait to travel to your area and do races and then walk into local businesses and see that we could have, what did you call it, Dana? Michelada?
Maybe a Michelada.
Michelada? Yeah, right there in Lancaster. Yeah. And what's been the feedback from the people that you have shipped to, or feedback on social media? Do you have any favorite stories from those that have tried your mix that you like to share?
For sure. Yeah. When we started this company and brand and started selling our mix, we obviously thought it was the best thing in the world. That's what you think. But then all the reviews that we get are the people feel the same way. It's been kind of crazy to see that. The one thing, I run all of our social media platforms, and one of the things that I started pretty early on was this kind of fun rivalry with Zing Zang, who I picked out to be the number one. You find them everywhere. People use them.
Yeah, people may have heard of them once or twice.
Yeah.
So everybody knows those guys. So we can pick them out to be our target. We want to overtake those guys. And so if somebody mentions them or asks how we compare to Zing Zang, we're like, just try it. It's better than those guys. And every time we do that and they try it, they're like, yeah, you're right. It is much better than Zing Zang. So those have been our favorite interactions on Twitter, on social media. Just seeing that people really love this stuff as much as we do has been insane and like really cool to think about over the past few months that we've been doing this.
Yeah, it never gets old when somebody's like, this is the best Bloody Mary mix I've ever had. It warms our heart because we feel the same way, and we're just happy that it's reflected and everyone's enjoying it.
I think when it comes to industrial or large mass market, mass production, mixers or beers or whatever the case, those have their place. I'm looking at you guys as the craft mixer for craft cocktails.
For sure.
And I think that this might be a new or a smaller niche to get into. But the fact that you guys are doing fresh ingredients that are like, you can see the spices and the herbs in the mix. You can see the horseradish, and you're not going to get that from a mass market mixer of any brand.
You're not. Nope, you definitely will not.
So I think that's really cool.
Hey, like we asked what vodka, but what if you use a whiskey? How we went, Dana, to Le Cellier and we had a Caesar.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
And that had Canadian, we had our option for vodka or Canadian whiskey.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite whiskey?
Or do you venture out
or do you
outside of the vodka realm with your mix?
I wouldn't say I'm a big whiskey and Bloody Mary guy, but like our variation on that is, my favorite anyway would be a mezcal in our mix. I'm really into mezcals and tequila in general.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention. I think
it's a really good mix. Yeah.
Yeah. At one point, my mom had infused her tequila with jalapenos, and so we put jalapeno tequila in our Bloody Mary, which makes it a Bloody Maria. and that was exceptional. Those are really good.
And Colin and Annie have just taken us to school. So
Yes. Oh my God. What is it? A Bloody Maria now?
Yeah,
Bloody
the Bloody
Maria.
Maria.
With jalapeno infused tequila, but also mezcal.
I don't think those
I'm
are
not
the
sure
same
what the
drink.
name was.
No. These are two
Yeah, I'm not
important
sure what-
tips.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the mezcal and Mary would be called, but
Yeah.
it's a good mix for sure.
Other than awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
pretty much.
Yeah. What other name does it need? Yeah.
Is there a place where our audience can find out more about you?
For sure. Yep, we are Sundays Bloodies, or at Sundays Bloodies on all social media, sundaysbloodymary.com. You can see our shop and check us out there. We're always running different promotions. We should have something cool coming up this weekend as well. But yeah, so definitely check us out there. Our social media, we try and have fun with it and be super engaged with everyone and kind of we have a cool community. So it's been fun. So you can definitely find us there.
And is there anything, you said you may have something coming on the horizon. Is there anything that you would like to let out of the bag here at the end? Anything on the horizon that you'd like to share with the members of our Runcation Nation?
We definitely have something for you guys specifically. We're going to run 20% off for anybody who listens to this podcast. I think we're going to run the discount code will be RED20. So that'll be 20% off there. And then we might be running something even a little more different on this upcoming weekend as well, with Super Bowl weekend coming up here. A bunch going on. There's always something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, we're here in Florida. You know that's going to be big time where we are.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I'm from Tampa. So, yeah, born and raised.
Go Bucks.
Yeah, go Bucks.
Well, you heard it right there, folks.
Good
Runcation Nation, you can go to sundaysbloodymary.com and use our discount code to order your Sundays Bloody Mary mix today. Get it to celebrate the Donna Marathon virtual races you're running, or as part of our team, or just to have it for your Sunday morning on the porch after a great run or after brunch, or to celebrate potentially a Buccaneers win. Just saying, the discount code is RED20, RED20.
Colin and Annie Dawkins, the founders of the Sundays Bloody Mary Mix and Sundays Best, we thank you for joining us today on the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's been fun. Thanks, guys.
Yay. They were so nice.
They really were. And what's amazing to me, and we were talking about that on the break a little bit, is that this is a business that sprung forth during the pandemic. And we actually had every intention of having Bloody Marys with us while we were recording tonight's episode.
But we finished the mix.
Yeah, the mix didn't last. It is, in all seriousness, again, they're not sponsors of the show. They were just generous enough to give us the discount code for you guys.
Yeah.
And we bought what we had. We purchased it.
They gave us a little discount code for us too.
They gave us the same discount code, but we purchased it. And that mix is chunky when you see phenomenal. All the stuff in it. You don't have to add anything else to it.
The horseradish and the pepper and I loved it. I would get it again. I want to try the vegan one. I hope they come out with a vegan spicy.
Yeah. I'd be curious about how that would go.
I'm just saying, and I want to get the rim salt and, just do it upright. That's all I'm saying.
And in the chat, Jessica's asking what we're drinking. Tonight's podcasting juice is our normal traditional post-race recovery beer, Moosehead Lager.
Of course.
So that is what we are having here tonight. Yeah. But we are about to wrap things up for tonight's episode. This was a little extra special one. This can be a great one for people's long runs this week as they're pounding out the rest of their miles for the Donna Virtual.
This is not a fun size, but this is like
supersized.
A supersized episode. And we appreciate you all hanging in there while we recap the Donna that means so much to us, talked about
to you guys
the phenomenal support we've had. We can't thank you enough. And the phenomenal food we had at Blue Dog Bar and Grill in Mount Lachey. Shout out to Megan. Thank you for taking care of us.
Yeah, Megan's a rock star. Go visit her. She's incredible.
And to Colin and Annie for giving us the Red 20 discount code we can use at sundaysbloodymary.com. Bloodymary.com.
They also, I love the fact that they have subscription boxes.
Yeah.
So you can make sure you keep your bar stocked with really good Bloody Mix.
Yeah.
So
and really, you just and you get those little, like he was talking about, whatever they're working on, you may get preview in the box.
Yes.
And I love that when our box came, even we didn't do the subscription, but when our box came, it had a little card with a picture of a pickle on the front, and on the back it was handwritten from Annie and Colin, and it said thank you.
Yeah. So it's just nice to support a family business.
Yeah.
We love being able to do that. So check them out. Red 20, RED20 is your discount code. Runcation Nation. Yay. Stock your bar, regardless of how you like to serve it. Now, if you are going to make a crazy, creative, bloody, brunch bloody, take a photo, send us your picture, tag us on your Instagram or email it to us, info@runeatdrink.net. We'd love to see it.
We would.
But I wanted to make mention of the fact that before we go, that we got an awesome review over on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, we did. I'm so happy. And we've had a couple of different ones that we'll share over the next few weeks.
Thank you, guys.
But we really appreciate that, because that's how people find us. The more reviews you have, the algorithm works.
You have to get recent reviews in order to be shown.
Yeah.
And you guys doing reviews helps other people find us. And we cannot thank you enough for doing that.
And I pulled this one specifically to your point because Stephanie Swan had reviewed us early on, and she is a longtime listener, and she went in and she reviewed us in January of 2021, just to make sure that everything was up to date and nothing had fallen away or disappeared. And she says, she calls it the Power Couple Podcast, and says, I absolutely love this podcast. I have been an avid YouTube viewer and listener for over a year now, and I love the small but awesome changes they've made to include recipes of stuff they eat and all the stuff they drink. I love hearing about places they run, how or why they choose the venues, and the tantalizing food and drinks they enjoy along their running journeys. It's the perfect podcast for food and drink reviews, very detailed with realistic expectations. They are couple goals.
Aww.
Very well spoken, funny, relatable, and gives me a major travel bug. Love them. 10 out of 10 she would have given us if they had 10 stars.
Well, that is awesome.
So thank you so much for that, and for re-upping your review of our show and adding more detail about what you love, so we can keep on doing what you love.
Yeah. So if you would take a minute, head on over to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating and review. It helps us get discovered. And that's what it's all about. We want to grow the Runcation Nation so that when we do that eventual meetup and we do those eventual, in-person events, we have just an awesome time with a bunch of you out there that have a passion for running, for eating, and for drinking.
Yes. So that's going to do it for an episode.
For this episode in
particular episode, yes. And we thank you all so much for hanging in there and for listening to this supersized episode
with much less confetti than last episode.
Yeah,
last time we were.
But we're still finding some.
We're still finding some.
So yeah,
we'll have it all done by the time we get back. Maybe
tune in next week and see what happens with the confetti.
Find out.
Stay tuned for more. In the meantime, thank you for joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, wherever you are. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe, stay well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info at runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.